Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all to this afternoon's edition of Good Grief. And it's wonderful to be here with my beautiful, beautiful co host, none other than Kim Possible 711. How are you today, sis?
Hey girl, hey.
It's good to see you.
How you doing?
I'm darn and good. You are on the run. You are one busy sister. I'm trying to
Listen.
tell you.
Whew, all is well.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. I know you're running, and I appreciate you so much for just being committed to this work and being committed to come in spite of all the running to take time. I appreciate you. Only one, Mrs. Cox. Thank you so much that I see a resub there. So much love coming to you. MCP 812, so much love coming to you as well, my dear, dear sister. You said good cold afternoon. It's cold
Listen,
in their parts. Is it cold where you are, Kim?
my as I said last week, my feet is cold. I got my little warm house shoes on, but I don't have socks on with the house shoes. So my feet are still cold.
Listen,
Let's see. It is 52 degrees. That's not too cold, but it was 30 something last night. So the house is still cold.
listen.
Yeah.
You need some socks on your feet. That's all I can say.
I do.
You need some
I
socks.
do. I do. I do. I do.
My goodness, my goodness. I just can't do it. I'm not the one. I just cannot.
So it must
So,
be warm where you are because you are sleeveless. You're giving
well,
us shoulder action again today.
listen, that is all about. I am in an enclosed space that has a room heater that this
Hmm.
room is toasty. And when I tell
Okay.
you toasty, it's toasty. Otherwise, I would be to the neck, all sleeves, every piece of my body would be covered. Believe you
Oh
me.
wow.
It would. It would. The Alaska Wolfman
Yes.
in here. So much
Hello.
love. Good to have you. 2 degrees up there,
Two
Lord Jesus.
degrees in North Pole, Alaska.
I cannot. I cannot. I cannot. Y'all can
Okay.
have that. Bless your heart.
24 in Wichita.
Come on. Come
Listen,
on.
it's gonna be 29 tonight.
Mm.
So I don't know.
And
John Styles, it's the Chicago takeover in Atlanta. So DJ John Styles is here. Dr. Dady is here. I'm meeting her for lunch after this.
yes.
And, people are like, you gonna come hang out? It's cold outside.
Listen. When they come
I
here,
don't
baby,
know
it's
how.
cold outside.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna go outside when it gets to be 29 degrees. Not sure about that.
But you gotta put some socks on and you
Oh,
better.
I will have listen. If I go outside, I will not be cute. That's the thing. I can't be cute and warm at the same time.
Well, wait a minute. You got some
About
boots?
the feet. About the feet. I gotta have on my socks. I gotta have on probably my chucks or something.
See.
I'm about to buy these fleece line Crocs. I think I'm thinking about it. I really am.
Come on.
I
Come
really
on.
am. I
I'm
really
not
am.
mad. I'm
But
not
we shall
mad.
see what we gonna do.
We gonna see. We shall
Yeah.
see. John Studios.
John Studios.
He is a streamer, you all. I love me some him. Good afternoon to you. If you are here and you're not following John Studios, please, please, please follow him. And as I say, quit chewing your ways if
Yes.
you're not following that baby, because he is a whole vibe and a whole blessing. Good afternoon to you. Baby, it's cold outside. I got you on that all day long.
Let
And
me quote him exactly. He said, I don't like cold at all. I don't like cold at all.
puts him in a
Puts me in a
complete
complete
bad
bad mood.
mood.
Well, yeah, if
Hallelujah.
you in California, I would imagine you didn't go to California to be
Frozen.
cold.
Mm-hmm.
I like all seasons, so I like fall. Maybe next week I'll start watching Hallmark with all my stuff because it'll officially be holiday season, but I'm not there yet.
Yes, yes,
Truck
and yes.
driver, don't come in here talking about dressing. Don't come in here
Listen.
talking about no boiling dressing today. Don't come in here with that.
Oh, that conversation y'all had last week had me tickled.
So for those of you that were not in the Discord after Good Grief last week, me, STL, um, truck driver and DJ Stacy Bless One had a real good conversation about food and things that people bring that we know are not good, or we have seen some things. And so he had all the stories,
all of them,
about things that had gone wrong at various potlucks and cookouts. So
all of them,
if
all
you've
of them.
never heard of boiled dressing, ask truck driver about that.
Come on.
I
You
had
know
never
that
heard of it at all, but
it was festering. That's what
it
it
was
was.
festering. It was upset. It was 7 degrees. Oh, that's something else. It was just, yeah. And we had some of those conversations in the Rebel stream earlier today. So,
and all
y'all
of
ever
it,
want a good story, talk to truck driver, y'all. I'm just telling you.
and DJ Stacy Bless One.
And DJ Stacy Bless One.
The two of them. And this all started around the realities that at the repast after some of the funeral services, the food can be a real challenge at times. So DJ Stacy Bless One, who is good afternoon to you, who is handling arrangements once more and again for loved ones. And we started talking about the repast and the fact that her family was like, we just, all y'all need to just let us use the facility. We'll bring the food. Don't bring nothing.
Yes.
Don't bring a thing. We'll bring
30, 45 minutes later, we was all on the floor cracking up.
I'm telling you.
About these stories of these repasses and what people bring. And then it went over into Thanksgiving's coming and people bringing turkeys that ain't cooked all the way through, and dish rags and collard greens. And I had to make my list. Hold on. I had to write all this down because I said, now I'm not going to remember none of this. What else do we have? Oh, soupy green bean casserole.
Yes.
That's the other thing. So, anybody else got any stories about bad repast food while we on the topic?
That repast food conversation.
That's just, I mean, that, as I mentioned in previous Fridays, you know, our church does an exceptional job with repasses because they absolutely take it as a ministry to comfort the family. So I couldn't even imagine having bad food at a repast.
Yeah.
But evidently that occurs.
Evidently, from what we heard on last week. But you know what? I'm going to say this. I know for myself with my mother and my father was, he had some status, if you will, as far as his title and position within the church. So he had churches under him. And when I tell you, my mother sat on the podium with all the dignitaries and they put us down on the floor. Now, not that I don't care about being up on the floor, being seen, but it's the whole point of my mother's up here with a bunch of strange people and her children in a whole different location from her. And it's like, this is just twisted. And when I tell you, I wasn't hungry anyway, you know, it's not like I'm coming for a meal, but child, we found out they were scamming food and stuff never came out because people were packing it up and taking it home. And oh man, I'll tell you, it was some crazy stuff. My aunt, who can, of course, all of my family can cook pretty much. So you had, she had baked a whole apple pie that the family never saw and would have known nothing about, other than that she asked us, did y'all get some of my apple pie? Apple pie never appeared, walked out the door. I'm telling you, you know. So
the audacity to steal the people's food.
Steal the people's food at the funeral.
Listen here. That's a fight ready to happen. Because especially if I know that such and such brings this thing to everything, next time just bring it to the house. Don't bring it up here. Because these people steal.
I promise you, we would not have known that my Aunt Grace even made a pie had she not asked us, did any of you get any of my apple pie? And it was like, we never saw an apple pie, and apple pie never came out that door. So I'm telling you, stories about repasses after funerals or something else. But I can definitely say for myself, I didn't feel like eating after any of my loved ones passing. So, you know, y'all can have all of the bubbling, boiling dressing and dish rag and the greens and all of that. Miss me with that. So, yeah. Isaiah, good evening. Good afternoon to you, sis.
As I said, what also got us on this subject is just what we will and will not eat, and how we don't eat after certain people. And if we know somebody has brought something, it's like, no, pass that along. We're not going to eat that.
Come through.
So it's the same thing with repasts. If I go to, especially if it's a family. So like my grandmother's church was known for great fried chicken and everything. I mean, there was just, everybody could cook. And so there was nothing ever bad about any of that. And I still to this day remember the fried chicken from my grandmother's repast.
Isn't that something?
And, you know, every time there's some at church, I'm like, okay, is that lady is she still living that made that chicken? Because if she not now, I don't know if I want it. And so I have not been to anything there, but if I go to different things, I'm not going to eat depending on if I'm not familiar with the family or the people that actually are doing the food.
You know, I think repasses are, as it relates to funerals, I'm not so sure that they aren't becoming a thing of the past, because a lot of families either go back to the family home and just fellowship together, or go, everybody decide on a location and meet at that location or whatever. You a lot, and to be truthful, a lot of churches are no longer offering that service to the congregants. It's like, once you get here and the service is over, you're on your own. So so many times are changing in that regard. And so, as you say, for your church to still have that as a very vital part of ministry that you offer from your congregation, I think that's beautiful. Knew Me Once, come on in here. So much love to you.
Hello, everybody that's come in.
Yes.
Knew Me Once. So let's see who else we got. DJ Stacy Bless one.
Yes.
Hello, Twitchy. Hello. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's on your heart today, Kim Possible? I'm so glad that you are taking this time. Appreciate you.
I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but you know, next week is actual Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And you know, we began the discussion around, you know, grief during the holidays and you know, food being a big issue around that. And, you know, if Auntie so-and-so used to make the green beans or the mac and cheese and she's not here any longer, you know, just the realization that this person is not there. And so I thought about just even coping and just putting it out there and talking about you know, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not sure if everybody that's here today was there then, but what is your strategy around going through the holidays?
That's a good one.
As we're approaching, because as with anything, you know, you really do kind of need to think about, what are you going to do? Are you going to do what you've done before? Are you still going to have effect? Because I mean, now that we outside, the pandemic is over. You know, families were starting to get together last year. You know, I know my mom didn't cook last year because she was, you know, healing from a surgery. So she's doing all the cooking this year. And I don't know that it's going to be me, her, and my daddy. Unless somebody calls and didn't go somewhere, and she'll invite them over. But we never have like a lot of people for Thanksgiving. But I couldn't imagine, like, if you know, my mom or my dad weren't with us, what I would be doing. The last thing I would want to do is go to her house, or I'd have to find something else to do, because I don't know that I'd be able to do that. So I'd have to think through what my strategy would be. Would I even want to be around people? Would I want to go out? Because we've done all of the above. We've gone out as a family, but then my mother was like, we don't have leftovers. So she doesn't like that. Last year we ordered out and brought it in and just heated up everything. But then the stress of waiting in the line to get the food stressed me out last year. So I was like, I'm definitely not doing that this year. So what are some of the things, what are you planning to do this year that you may not have done last year, or just as a strategy for your family?
For me, and we'll wait for the viewers to write in the chat, but you know, the first year was a little bit different. My nephew passed away in February, and that year ended up being a little bit different. And we had somewhat of a Thanksgiving dinner, but it wasn't the traditional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, who is just very, very, she was very much a traditional Thanksgiving, traditional Christmas kind of person. She was like, okay. But then, of course, she fell on Christmas Eve of the same year, and that just threw for the rest of the holiday, Christmas, and all that off. And then the following year, it was just kind of like nothing at all, because my mom was really like the glue for the holiday events, and of course, phenomenal cook. You just cannot replicate her home cooking. It was mom.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next year, I think or the year after my mom passed, we just kind of had a very non-traditional, almost nothing going on kind of a get together, very loose. And matter of fact, I didn't go out. I just was really like in my space, in my place, and my friends brought me plates of food because I just didn't feel like trying to get out and be amongst people. This
Mm-hmm.
year, we've all relocated except for
Mm-hmm.
my middle sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have something similar to what would have probably looked like a pre David's passing celebration of Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that, I still don't know exactly what that's going to look like or feel like. But it's probably the first time we're all actually actively getting together in one location at one place, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
see how it goes. And I just kind of have to feel it however I feel it, because November. So November's just I could just go through a whole list of, but as I shared before, we had so many people in the family that passed back to back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 4 funerals in less than 2 weeks. I just don't know how much that still is astonishing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was my uncle's birthday. It's just all of that is just right in a line together, and it just doesn't stop until after Thanksgiving is over.
Yeah.
November ends up being kind of a shell shock situation anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to the gathering that we're having. I don't know how long I can stay. I don't know how much I can interact or any of that. But I'm just letting myself do and feel whatever I feel. If I can handle it, fine. If I can't handle it, fine. I definitely want to try to spend some time with all my family who's coming in town and all of that. But the extent of which that I can actually do that and be okay, I don't know. So I'm just giving myself the grace to say I'm gonna do what I can, and what I can't do is okay.
Yep. That's exactly it. Um, you have to play it by ear. And I still am trying to understand the logic behind that phrase. But take it one moment at a time and give yourself the grace to be able to say, right in this moment, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if at any point it becomes uncomfortable or too overwhelming, or you know what, I don't feel like this no more, it's okay to get your little purse and be like,
Yeah.
deuces, and go on out the door. Only one Mrs. Cox said, for me personally, I don't want to be around family. That's just where I am right now. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the mask on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a season and space of grief, it's easy to try to appease other people, but you really have to do what you feel comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just not comfortable with that, then it is okay to say no. It's okay to say I won't be there. It's okay to say, you know what, just drop me a plate by,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure you put extra so and so on my plate and
Yeah.
let people bring it over.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to go and stay in the driveway and say, you know what, I'm outside, bring me a plate. And
Mm-hmm.
you take your cell phone back to your house or wherever you want to be. So you don't have to make apologies for whatever choices you make during the holidays. Cassandra Woke 2022 says, I'm transitioning from large gatherings to me and my son. We will have a meal we decide upon and stay home this year, although we are invited to gather at someone else's home. So untraditional. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The Rebel, I just want to chill and give thanks in my own space. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pandemic kind of shifted a lot. Um, We got to a point where we were like, oh my God, we can't get together. All these traditions, all of these things that we had to do, we realized we didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And you really can. There's no, yes, there are traditions and traditions are important, but self care, mental wellness, and just care for yourself during the grief process is really more important because life is precious.
Mm-hmm.
And once it's broken because of some loss, then that changes all the rules at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we can really make it up for ourselves. And there is no right or wrong way to do that.
So, can you share maybe some ideas or options, chat included? Last year, in particular, I had a family member. And so I want to address the idea of when you're trying to do self care and do it your way, but you've got family members that are overtly trying to pressure you into following the pattern and not breaking the tradition. I actually had a loved one who came last year from out of town, and came home, only to have the mother, he and his wife, the mother who was really, really, really pressuring them. Well, the wife's mother had just died a year prior to, on the eve of the holiday, and so even though they came, she found that once they traveled, it was just too much. It was just too much. And the pressure and the stress of the mother who just would not let it go was creating a serious discomfort within that situation. And so they called me. He called me more so, and we just talked and chatted. And my comment to him: do what your wife needs. That's your wife.
Mhm.
But we had to talk that thing through because it was tearing them up. So what to do, maybe, Kim, for that family where they just will not accept your space that you need?
Yeah, I mean, I think that advice was very, very on point because it's amazing how some people, some families are so steeped in what they want that they don't consider the loss of someone else until it's their turn. And in that case, as the husband or the I would have been like, baby, we got to go. I you have you at that point it's not about trying to save face. And you have to do what you have to do for you. And even when you've got overbearing relatives that are insisting on things being done a certain way, because we've done it this way for the last 25 years. This holiday just isn't the same if you don't do it this way. Says who?
Mm-hmm.
We are all only one life event from
Mm-hmm.
everything completely being turned upside down. And all of that goes out of the window.
Yes.
So sometimes it's hard depending on the dynamics of the family, depending on the role that you have within the family. But that's where we have to be more courageous in ourselves and really listen to our own heart to know what we can and cannot do. And if it's offensive to a family member, they'll figure it out. They'll get over it. They really will. Because again, everybody is one crisis away
Mm-hmm.
from a change of plans. And I think it's time out for us doing things just to save face. That's not healthy. We can't keep going on acting as if we didn't just lose somebody
Mm-hmm.
or as if this person is not still grieving. Because if we're saying that there's no expiration date on how long the process takes, and you never know how you're going to feel until you're in a situation. If you get somewhere and it is not healthy for you, you can remove yourself from that situation. You do not have to stay in that scenario. Even if somebody's asked, oh, you're a party pooper, or oh, you're this or that. Ma'am, sir, say what you want. But as for me, I have to go and do what's necessary for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my advice. in
And,
those
and
areas.
I do want to acknowledge that even though we're talking about adults, there are adults that still do not feel the liberty to say no to their parents.
Correct.
And so we'll still walk through the motions and walk
Mhm,
that thing out and be tore up on the inside,
mhm,
and the devastation that it's doing to us
mhm.
way outweighs what would have been done if they had just walked away, you know. So I want to interject that because I know a lot of times we as adults, and listen, age doesn't even matter because
Mm-mm.
you know
It doesn't.
it doesn't. We as adults sometimes, even though that sounds really good from the mind, and even though our heart may want to do something different, we'll find ourselves almost on automatic pilot, just flowing right into that thing and
Mhm.
being so devastated, but doing it anyway. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to address that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we know from what is it? Family?
Sculpting.
No, the theory, family something theory.
Um,
The different roles that people play in a
yes,
family.
yes. Yes. Okay.
That, you can be 50 and revert back to a 10-year-old when you walk in your mama's house because of, the dynamic of what the relationships were in the family.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's easier said than done, but part of why I'm saying what I'm saying is to hopefully empower people to
Yes.
really think past some of these family dynamics. Cassandra Woke says, pivot past the discord,
Mhm.
pivot hard, because it is hard.
Mhm.
Because if you're a people pleaser by nature, if that's the role you play in your family, and you're the person that's grieving a loss, and your family is insisting on you staying or being or cooking or doing something particular that you don't want to do. I mean, it's a real struggle to really have the courage to say, you know what? No.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just turn the phone off and just don't leave the house because you really can't. I mean, that's a start, but is it healthy for you? Maybe it is.
Yes.
Because if that's the only way that you can get past having to deal with the clamor of the person now trying to make you feel bad about not showing up.
And then not feel guilty after the
Yeah.
fact. You
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
execute the
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You don't then ruminate on this guilt that wants to constantly on the inside eat you up because you did say no. No, you have the right to say no, and it's good
Yes.
that you did say no and feel good and empowered that you did. And I
Mhm.
think that is a tremendous part of healing as well.
Yeah. Because the peace that you experience in the moment of having not done it hopefully will far outweigh the clamor that comes after the fact.
Yes. Yes.
And so MCP 812 says, so far I plan to go to Tulsa with daughter and grands. We're just feeling our way through it. Val was the main cook. She'll probably be above shaking her head at us. We'll see. So MCP 812, that's that moment when they say how you're making something and they say you just keep putting stuff until the ancestors tell you not to tell you to stop. Val will let you know when you need to stop. She'll let you know when that no, mm-mm. Or one more little pinch. So girl, just listen for the still small voice of Val letting you know what you need to do, sis.
Listen, Val was known for her dressing,
Mm,
and nobody touched that dressing that Val made. So I don't know. They're
mhm.
gonna have to be listening. They're gonna really have to clean those ears to be able to
Well,
hear when she says stop, because she was particular about that thing.
mhm. Yes, yes.
That's funny. Betty Savage, good afternoon to you. Big Ed Smith, I saw you come in. Good afternoon to you. We're so glad to have you here
Mhm.
in Good Grief. Thank you for coming and sharing this space with us. God bless you.
Yes. Hey, Bethy Savage. DJ Rollum 27 says, my wife says I need to learn to say no on certain things to my aunt because she is my aunt, my mom's sister. Phew. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, family dynamics are hard
Yes.
before you ever even layer in grief.
Yes.
I mean, it's just every family's got some functional and dysfunctional elements to it. And so, we feel obligated. If you grew
Mhm.
up in that era where you had to respect your elders. I will never forget my grandmother's sister when my cousins got married. My cousin got married and the wedding was in Connecticut. And we drove from Atlanta to Connecticut with my grandmother's older sister, Aunt Opal. We got there, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're at my cousin's fiance's parents' house. There are 2 beds in the room,
Mhm.
twin beds. I get in one. She proceeds to get in the same one with me because she said, "What's the point of messing up 2 beds?" And I'm 12, so I'm looking like, is she stupid or what? I mean, what is this whole 2 beds in here? But I was raised, correct your elders. I just sat there like this the whole rest of the day because I was like, she knocked out, and I'm sitting there like, I cannot believe this woman is we are in twin beds. What is that about?
Yes.
This is just crazy. I told my uncle, and he had a conversation with her later, like, Kim is old enough to do da 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 da. You do not have to do that. We on vacation. This is a wedding. This is vacation for her. Do not ruin this for her. And she left me alone the rest of that time. But I didn't say anything because I'm 12. But she was the type that wanted her way all the time.
All the time.
And you dare not, and she never had any children. So you dare not correct her, chastise her. I'm 12. What am I supposed to say or do?
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. But there's now, I guess, I can say these things because I'm older and I've done a little bit of work on just my own self-awareness and my own family dynamics.
Mhm.
But that's not everybody's story.
Right.
And so I absolutely get it. But it's the little wins and the little ways of empowerment that you really do have to find a way to put the mask on yourself.
Yes.
Because you end up suffering in the long run. And at not showing up at an event, not going to a dinner, not cooking a particular thing, I bet you they'll figure it out.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And I want to speak to when he said it's his mother's sister. There's
Mhm.
something about, and I don't know if we often address this. There's something about when one of those parents, the mother or the father, passes away, and those siblings almost become like a surrogate to your parent, right? And
Mhm.
so at some point, it almost becomes harder to say no to that aunt or uncle or that sibling of the deceased parent because it's almost like an extension of your deceased parent. And
Mhm.
somehow emotionally that gets real, real twisted. You
Mhm.
seem even more so. I can't tell aunt this or uncle that no,
Mhm.
because this is one of my last connections to my parent, and
Mhm.
it gets real dicey, and I think we really have to kind of talk about that, or not necessarily here, but address that within ourselves.
Mhm.
Am I misplacing this loyalty and this lack of addressing what I want to do or how I want to do? Is this misplaced attachment to my parent that I'm now ascribing and assigning to my uncle or my aunt? You
Mhm.
know what I'm trying to say there?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's almost like, I can't honor my parent or my loved one, so I have to honor this person in lieu of them. But if it's again, Aunt Opal was something else. Aunt Opal was something else. I mean, she would say just anything off the top of her head. Just she had zero filter whatsoever. And her husband, Uncle Sammy, was so nice and sweet to me. But Aunt Opal was not my favorite aunt at all.
Mhm,
And that
mhm,
was my grandmother's sister.
mhm.
So yeah. And then Ursula TI 99.
So
I
good to
had to
have
go
you.
through 7 years of EMDR to get past my trauma age. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
And trauma age, I was just sharing with someone about this
Mhm.
last week, a week before. And people don't realize this was something that I really enjoyed working out in my therapy as well.
Mhm.
That wherever that major initial trauma is, that's where you revert back to. I don't care, 50, 60, 70, however, age as far as number does not matter. You will revert back to that trauma age on automatic pilot.
Yep.
And sometimes it is really, as you said, Ursula, it can really, really be a challenge and a struggle to work through the issues of that trauma age.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that you did, because, you know, the individual that I was sharing with did not have a point of reference to trauma age. And especially when you start talking about spiritual or religious things, it's like, well, God, da 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 da. That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with God, has
Nope.
nothing to do with how developed I am or am not spiritually. It's a matter of the element of trauma age is real and it has to be dealt with as a reality. And especially in grief, it begins to manifest itself because all
Yes.
these emotions are bouncing off the wall and you're feeling all of these different things. And you're
Mhm.
going to automatically revert back to that trauma age. And it's not something to beat yourself down about.
Right.
And it's not something where it's like, oh my God, you know, I'm totally disqualified. Well, if I'm not healed, I can't be help anybody else heal. Has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And you just have to kind of know that in yourself. Keep
Mhm.
working through it. There's no shame in the game.
Mhm.
It's just the reality of healing and healing in a healthy way. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that you brought that in, Ursula.
Yes.
Trauma
Yeah.
age is very critical. And
Yeah.
sometimes people are unaware. You know, when I went to counseling and actually started working through that with my therapist, it was like, that is true. You know, you
Mhm.
start seeing all the marks of how your trauma age keeps popping up.
Yeah. That's what I was referring to earlier. I just didn't use that terminology of, when that relative or that family dynamic starts pressing in on you, you go back to that because you feel like you have to succumb
Mhm.
because you feel powerless in that moment, because
Mm.
you feel like you felt at that trauma age.
It will take you right back there. It
Yes.
will do it.
Okay, we got to get whatever this is out the chat. Whoever this
Yeah,
is.
I think they got him. I think they got them, whoever it is.
Okay.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. She said MCP 812. Well, she learned that from me. So we're good on the dressing. That's right. Yeah, I had to learn it from somewhere.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I learned
Absolutely.
it from Dorothy May, so you know it's the bomb.
Come
Yes.
on, that dressing. She's talking about that dressing still.
Y'all might have to send me some because now I like some good dressing. My mother makes some really good dressing, and she really only makes it at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's
Uh-huh.
why I made the comment in Rebel Stream that that's my favorite thing.
Yes.
She bet it now ain't the time to do something different, try nothing different. I need what I need because we do that every year.
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And then MC, Lord Jesus, I had a sister like that. She was on okay, the thing that moved too fast. Okay.
It was her way or
It was
no
her
way.
way, no way until I started drinking. Well, there
Ah,
are times when you might take a little swig of this or that, and then you can start acting out, and then people leave you alone. Like, you know what? Let me leave her alone. She done had a little too much. And you may not have had, but you could act like you have had. And then people will leave you alone.
let her rip.
Just, you know what? Okay, let me just leave her alone. Because
Oh, that's funny.
that's my mother's youngest brother. It's like, oh Lord, he might be drunk by the time he come over.
See,
So
see,
then we don't know what we gonna get when he gets.
listen.
So at certain times he was not even invited over.
Yes.
For years he was banned from coming to the house for that
See,
very
see,
reason. So
see.
only one Mrs. Cox, my baby sister Ruth, call her the puppet master. No one wants to tell her no but me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stand up.
Somebody. Somebody.
Somebody has to stand up.
Yeah.
And Ursula, autopilot costs me jobs and friendships. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the blessing is that you were able to get the help that you needed.
Yes.
Be able, because the thing, when people always want to say that all you need is Jesus and you need to pray, they don't understand the fact that yes, Jesus saves and God heals. However, you have to be aware of the things and the patterns that are taking place in your life. And you're not going to find that out without a therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why my mantra is always Jesus and therapy, because
Yes.
you have to be able to process through all of those things that have happened. So you can recognize the triggers, you can recognize the patterns, you
Yes.
can have new terminology around what's happening so that you are aware.
Yeah.
Therapy brings about awareness
Yeah.
of what is going on within you.
Sure. And I will say this to anybody that encounters that energy, because it'll pop up really, really fast. I think inwardly, and not so much to put anybody down, but what I know when I hear that kind of conversation, I know that they're not healed.
Mhm.
'Cause if that's the only way you've worked through your healing, you ain't healed yet. So I'm not going to weigh myself down with what you're saying and the judgment that you're shoving in my way, because if you're telling me that, I know you ain't healed.
Exactly.
And
You
just
still
walk.
got some stuff,
Yeah,
and you're manifesting right now,
you
because
manifest
you
right now.
you are getting very, very combative about the fact that this is all you need. No.
Yeah.
Sound like you need a little bit more.
Well, I just, without even going through all of that, I just release it and let it go. That's my
Right.
way of releasing it and not getting caught up in it or succumbing to it, because your mouth is telling me that you're unaware of your own self, because it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. So I'm not going to argue with you. It just, I know it doesn't work like that. So
Yeah.
Crystal
Absolutely.
Method, Shelly Thunder. Good
Hello, ladies.
afternoon, both of you. Good afternoon.
Yes. Crystal Method says, I love learning new terms. Trauma age is something I'll pay attention to from now on. I know what to call it. Thank you. Amen.
Yes.
Yeah. Cassandra Woke 22, drinks give you talking power. That's right. You get some extra oomph,
Come on.
get a little bass in your voice. You're able to articulate some of the stuff you ain't been able to say. And now let me clarify. I am not encouraging drinking, overages in drinking. I'm not, I'm always a fan of a good beverage.
A good beverage.
It really does not take much for me because I don't drink that much. So a little goes a long way when it comes to me.
Uh-huh.
So I might say anything after some Baileys and coffee, or just straight Baileys. Just, it don't even matter. Just anything.
Well, come on, confess it.
Yes. Yes, Rebel. We talked about Baileys earlier.
Yes, we did. Yes, y'all did. Y'all did. Uh-huh.
I'm just saying.
But whatever, the point being, speak up and speak
Mhm.
your piece.
Yeah.
Don't just allow yourself to be run over. And speaking up doesn't always have to be verbalized. It can be
Right.
an action alone.
Yeah. Not showing up is speaking loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just not, this year, this event, this dinner, I won't be able to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to give you a reason why. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't figure out why, then you might not know enough about me.
Yeah.
Because do you not know that I've just lost my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my husband, whatever? You do know that, right? So why would you even question me not showing up? But then there will be some that do. So
You hit on a good point there, Pam. I mean, Kim, and that is not providing an explanation is empowering. You don't have to. Not providing an explanation can be very empowering. And the point is, you don't have to. You don't owe everybody an explanation. And I think when you get to that place of freedom, when you get to that place of liberty, that I don't owe you an explanation. We don't have to go round and round. Like you said, okay, my loved one just passed away. I'm still grieving. Da, da, da. I shouldn't have to tell you that. But even if you're slow to that fact, I don't have to tell you that. I can just keep on moving about my business. And I think that point that you just said right there is very empowering. So
yeah.
I like that.
And I mean, a good example is one of my girlfriends lost her husband a couple of years ago
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the pandemic. And we weren't gathering, we were just getting together for a Zoom call. And she was the one who said, you know what, I really need the support of my sisters. I haven't done it much. I've been just kind of sitting around. He owned a dry cleaner, so they were still trying to keep that afloat. So she was looking forward to this Zoom call that we were going to have just to kind of catch up, because it had been, we had literally gotten together the February of 2020 before the shutdown. That was the last time we had gotten together. And then her husband passed in the fall. And then so it was around Christmas at that point. And so we're trying to get together and we all get on and she's not on.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of like, okay, do we call? And we all came to the very clear understanding very quickly. She just wasn't in the mood for it today. She wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
She just wasn't ready for us. And so, of course, we stopped, took time to pray for her, sent her like little texts of love, and never asked her why.
Mm-hmm.
Never questioned, well, you the one that wanted to do this and then you didn't show up. There was no explanation needed in that moment, because we understood that she just was not ready in that. She might have been gung-ho at 2:00, but then at 7:00, when it was time, she was like, you know what? I'm not feeling it right now.
Yes.
And so we were all cool with that.
Yes.
And that's what happens when you have good, people around you that have gone through some things, or just folk that just love you anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what the situation is. Because, there used to be, we used to all try to make sure that we all got together. So we would change schedules and all that so that all of us could be together at the same time. We've gotten older, folk got husbands, kids, divorces, all kinds of stuff now. And if whoever can show up at this point, let's just get together with who can.
Mm-hmm.
Because life is short and we never know when we're not going to be able to do this.
Yes.
So
I loved you all responses. Your response to not that's excellent for support, for the people that are the support, to be intuitive enough, to be spiritually connected enough, to not have to drag that person through the ringer, and be supportive in the fact that, hey, she ain't able to do it right now. It's okay. And we're not going to make her go through further changes because this is where she is. That's a beautiful response. And I wish that more supporters could understand those dynamics and that kind of behavior, because it makes all the difference in the world.
And so what's crazy about this is, when Only One Mrs. Cox was here in Atlanta, we had a dinner after the Soapbox Derby that day. And this particular friend is the cousin, her husband that passed away is the cousin of C. Cruz, who was also in town. And so she saw me respond to something on Instagram and was like, how do y'all know each other? And it's like, known her forever. And she was actually one of my Bible study teachers early on in my walk. And I saw Cruz because that was the first time I had met her in person. And I said, every time I see you now, I always think about Sherwood. And she was like, look to your right. And there she was. I had not seen her since that February of 2020 in person.
Yes.
And that was really the first time she had really started coming out, because it has taken her that long to really want to be out and among people. And so people were like, okay, she live in Atlanta, you in Atlanta, why you spending your whole time talking to her? Because I hadn't seen her, and since her husband had passed away. And yeah, it was just good to see her out, but she came out on her own terms.
That's beautiful. And it's beautiful that
she was ready to do all of that.
That's good.
I had no idea she was going to be there, and she had no idea I was going to be there, because she just said, her cousin invited her. She said, I'm in town. I'm getting together with some of the Twitch people. You ought to come. And she knew that I was doing Twitch stuff, but she had no idea I was going to be there.
Yes.
So we got a chance to catch up. Yes.
Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to go back. Truck driver is sharing one of his tales.
I was going to say, I saw him say something. What do you say?
We have tales. All of us have tales. He said, when I stop smiling, I'm ready to tell you a word or two.
Well, yes.
how and I know my tails as well, Kim. I know my tails. When certain things start happening, I pretty much know and can gauge where I am in a situation. And like truck driver, when he stops smiling, he's there. How can we, like, if people don't know our tails, I know my tails, the people that are close to me know my tails, but other people may not know my tails because they don't know me as well. And I promise you, it's the funniest thing, because the people that are really, really close to me, even in ministry, they know, they will, and listen, I won't say a word, but they know how to read me like a book. They know all my tails. They can tell you when I start doing this, or when I look a certain way, or when I'm not saying this or that or the other. They know exactly where I am.
Yeah.
When you're in this space, because I think grieving, sometimes you don't want to have to explain yourself to everybody. As a matter of fact, it almost becomes tiring. I don't want to have to explain this to you. When we know our tails, how do we utilize that? How would you recommend that we utilize that to our advantage to help us? Because it does get tiring having to explain stuff to folk.
Yeah. I mean, it helps if you have somebody around you that knows you well in those scenarios. Like, so for me, my folk know if I raise my voice, if I stop and look and pause, and then my voice starts to elevate, they grab my hand and pull me away. It's about to be a problem. And I'm about to say something that probably ain't gonna glorify God or anything else. So they grab my hand and pull me literally away. So that works if you got somebody around that knows the tales, right? But if you don't, breathing before you do anything helps.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
And I'm still practicing this, so it just I'm still mastering this. Stop and breathe in and breathe out 3 times before you say or do anything.
That's good.
And then hopefully in that breathing in, breathing out 3 times, you're able to slow down whatever's about to speed up and simply articulate, I don't want to have this conversation, or I'm not in the mood to really deal with this right now. Whatever the words that God gives you in that time of you breathing in, breathing out, so as you can walk away without there being a whole lot of anything. But has helped, but sometimes I forget to do that.
Truck driver said the breathing does not work for him.
Okay.
That's real talk.
It is real talk, because you got to remember to breathe. And if you don't remember, then it's a problem. So that's one. Before you breathe, I would just walk off. That's the thing but I would start to practice the breathing outside of just the crisis situations.
Yeah.
Because I have a app with my insurance that I'm supposed to, like, these habits that I'm trying to cultivate, and that's one of them. And it'll ask me every day, did you breathe today? Some days it's a yes, and some days it's a no. So that I can really get to a place of, before I open my mouth at church, in meetings with people, that I can start to incorporate that practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Crystal Method said breath work is hard. And I think it kind of speaks to, we talk about the 5 elements in Boss Energy in the Institute, and be able to control the breath, and to be able to control, because there's so much that's affiliated. We talk about the whole concept of I can't breathe, not just George Floyd on the ground with the knee on his neck, but when you get in a situation emotionally, when you get in a situation, whatever way you want to describe it as, and you can't breathe, there's something that happens there. To be able to control that breath, on the other hand, is life-giving, because you need that breath, but it needs to have some level of control. So maybe with the breathing, breath work is something. It may be that matter of really also counting. And this may sound like really foolish talk,
Yeah.
but I mean the
Yeah.
the breath work with counting can sometimes minimize or diffuse a sudden feeling of explosive emotion, whatever that emotion may be, until you can regain control of it.
Mhm.
But I think that the combination of the two, but breath is critical. So
Yeah.
I'm with Crystal Method. Breath work is really it's the truth. It really is when you can control your breath and control of that. But again, you may need some other things coupled with that, counting and space. So
Yeah.
like you said, Kim, you may need to distance yourself, walk away, take a few steps back, count, breathe, combine all that together until you can compose yourself. But I'm going to say I think breath work is powerful as well.
Yeah.
And it may not be for everybody, but I just think that there's so much significance to how you breathe. Or even as Miss Cox says, she was having a moment a week ago and her husband had to remind her or tell her to breathe. It's really powerful. If you can control that breath work, it really makes a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it truly is a practice that I think is beneficial to everybody.
Yeah.
Because breathing is different from meditation. Meditation incorporates breathing, but just learning to stop and breathe and be attentive to your breath, the
Yes.
in and out flow of breath,
Yes.
calms and puts you in a space that you can then move forward in whatever else you need to move forward into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a space in Yes You O Cube that I used to do every day, and I
Mhm.
played this organ that just drove the Rebel Ink over the edge. It just
Uh-oh.
killed her. It just took her out. But during that time, it was always about breath work, and my constant reminder was enjoy your breath.
Mhm.
So it's like breath is something and breathing is something that's so critical to us. It's just absolutely vital and essential, but we don't pay it any attention. And
Mhm.
the idea of getting control of it is something that we don't pay any attention to either. Or the idea of just enjoying the breath. We don't think about that. But I think MCP said when she goes for a walk and gets some fresh air, that fresh air is still a matter of breathing.
Mhm.
So it's something out, it calms her. There's just something about breath, breathing, and air that really does, because it's so critically important to us. We know when we stop breathing, it's over. If
Yeah.
you can't breathe,
That's right.
it's over.
That's
So
right. Yeah. So, yeah. So I would encourage everybody to just begin to incorporate that just as a practice in general. Because when I'm really upset, I've learned to just stop. And again, it's a practice that I'm learning to stop and breathe and pay
yes,
attention to the breath
yes.
flowing in and out. If you go to YouTube, they have breathing bubbles where you can breathe in and there's a bubble on the screen and there's sounds. You know, my Apple Watch tells me it's time to breathe. I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. And
Hmm.
I'll stop and breathe for 1 minute
Yeah.
just to recenter.
Hmm.
Sometimes I ignore it and I shouldn't, but especially during stressful times when people are trying to push you in a direction that you don't want to go as it relates to your grief.
Yeah.
Those are the times when I think all three of those, the breath, the counting, and the walking away, can
Hmm.
be helpful.
Yeah. And deep breaths too, I might
Yeah.
add, not just shallow breaths and your
Yeah.
normal breathing, but deep breathing.
So the first time I ever heard about this breathing concept was the So Hum method. So you breathe in on So, and then you exhale on hum. And I can't even explain it. Your body's normal function
Mhm.
is in those sounds. And you will end up breathing at a deeper space than you even thought you could very quickly. When I have trouble falling asleep, I do that. And it will, and you can even, like, there's whole tracks again on YouTube that you
Mhm.
can go and it'll count you through it and help you to practice it.
Mhm.
And it relaxes you very quickly. And that's the point. So try that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah. That's good
Dr.
stuff.
Katie's leaving. Okay. All right. Very good. So how's she gonna be at a different restaurant and then about to come meet me at a new restaurant?
Oh, and we are over time. I didn't realize that. But oh, absolutely. MCP 812. I mean, this is what we do, and this is what it's about. To give that disclaimer, we're not therapists. We're not, and we definitely don't take the place of therapy for those that need something more extensive than what we're offering. This is a group dynamic of sharing together so that we can grow together. But just some tidbits of things that we have learned along the journey and along the way that we can share. We're grateful. We're grateful that you feel. And the breathing exercises are powerful, I do have to say. And that was one of my early ons in therapy, was to focus and reframe myself and re-anchor through breathing. It can work. It can work. I know that it can.
Yeah, she said it works, maybe not for everything, but it does work. Yeah, it doesn't work for everything for sure, but for those moments when you need to recenter and to calm yourself, definitely. And just making it a practice is what I've tried to do. I started with DJ Classics doing meditation when I didn't think I could, and then I learned how, and it's been helpful to me since then. Yep. All right. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Dr. Data Priest calling me.
We should bring her in the stream.
She is leaving the Marietta Diner, which is one of those places that was featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on the Food Network. I love that place. Now she about to meet me at Nomas.
Look at the Rebel Ink said, "Tell her you're busy."
I know. I didn't answer. She's like, "I'm gonna call her in a minute." Like, I'm in the middle of a stream. I can't talk to you right.
Cassandra, I love that. You're looking into breathing exercises also. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. She said I'm about to text her.
Yes.
Yeah, tell her. I'll be with her in just a moment.
You're welcome, DJ Stacy Bless One.
Yes, definitely. We love you, sis. Yeah. What else? Did I miss anything? So hopefully today has been good for you guys as we are prepping for next week. Just utilize the tools that we've kind of talked about and give yourself some space and grace.
Yes.
To do as much or as little as you want. No one is requiring anything more than what you are willing to do. So we are empowering you to, just cut yourself some grace, some slack and some grace. And I will be in the Discord. I'll be getting dressed. I have to put my bottoms on because I got on some pajama bottoms, but I have to put my regular clothes on. But I'll be on the Discord if anybody wants to come and talk about bad food again or talk about breathing or whatever as I prepare to get out of here.
Thank you for stepping away, your time today, first and foremost, and stepping away to be in Discord for those. We have that after stream opportunity that we make available to anybody that wants to talk maybe more personally, more in depth about your particular situation, more that you need to get off your chest and share and talk about. All of that can be done in my Discord channel. And if you look at the screen, the moderators have put that link in so that you can just link on that and then go to STL Cafe and the video or the talk channel, and you can just come in. Kim, thank you for taking that time to do that as well. I'm going to say no good grief on next. I will not be streaming from my streams next Thursday nor next Friday. So I always want you to know we are available if you need to reach out to us during that time span. Please do not hesitate to do that. We can give you the information. There's a way by which
Just whisper me.
whisper us, and we're happy to be there for continue to support, but we will not be streaming, just FYI. But that following week, we will be back. Thank you to everybody that came on today. We appreciate you coming in and holding space with us. And we're here for this healing journey, and we support and love one another. Thank you so much. And Kim, is there anything else that you'd like to say, sis?
Nope. And also just a reminder that the Win phone is out in the Discord. So that's a space for you to be able to leave messages for your loved one. There's others out there so you can see messages that people have left, or just thoughts in general. We've had people put pictures of their family members, etc. So you can use that space to be able to express your grief on the Discord channel, STL's Discord channel. So until next time. So again, we won't be here next week, but the week after, I might be out of town. We'll talk about that. December, the weekend of that Friday, December 2nd. I know I'll be out of town.
Awesome.
I'll be in New York.
Come on, New York. The Big Apple. Thank you. Okay. We love y'all, and
yes, we love you guys.
We'll be here, but we'll get that word to you between now and then. So much love to you, and as we always say, peace for your journey.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.